God, the Philippine Senate, its senators, their staff, the media, our collaborators, and pray for a divine hand as to always be upon us, guiding our every thought, enlightening our every action. Enable, Lord God, your grace to come upon us and to take hold of us. Bestow us with wisdom and righteousness so that we may be able to serve the Filipino people according to your will. As we adjourn for the upcoming midterm elections, may we be guided by your divine will reflected in the people's expression. I fervently pray for this honored chamber to keep championing the people's good and welfare. May the work we do find meaningful transformation as instruments of positive change for the country, for the people, empowerment, and nation building. In our unified prayer for the ultimate good of our land, we implore your light and guidance in everything that we shall say and do as we fulfill the mission you have blessed our lives with. May we be able to truly live and work as legislators for God and for the people. May we be channels through which your divine plan for humanity will find completion. Amen.
Amen. Secretary, please call the roll.
Call of members, the Honorable Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Antiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda.
Present online.
Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, Senator Zubiri, the Senate President.
Can you turn on the audio of Senator Legarda, please? Who is in technical? We count her presence. With 18 senators physically present, 1 senator virtually present, for a total of 19, Chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader, make that 20 with Senator Bongo.
President, before we proceed with the business for the day, I'd like to acknowledge several guests of our colleagues. Guests of Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, the local Youth Development Office of Taguig, headed by Attorney Aldrin Sinues, Yuri Kian, Mary Rose Lau, Jerry Nico Wangco, Fernando Nabo, and other guests. Guests of our good friend, Senator Nancy Binay, senior citizens of Barangay Pinagkaisahan, Makati City. Guests of Senator De La Rosa, Cesar Saloma, President's Court Stenographers Association of the Philippines, Ronali Almares, Jasmine Diomse, Leonardo Calala. Guests of the Senate, State Field School Incorporated, Bacoor, Cavite, students from Senior High School Department taking up Humanities and Social Sciences. Guests of Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Mayor Ronald Apostol of Cabangan, Zambales, and Vice Mayor Attorney Jonathan Bactad of San Antonio, Zambales, together with their councilors. Guests of the Senate, the Legal Network for Truthful Elections, LENTE, together with the Citizens Congress Watchdog of Taiwan, headed by Mr. Tung Ru Jeffrey She. Guests of Senator Grace Poe, Dr. Melanie Pescadilla, Provincial Veterinary League of the Philippines, Dr. Mary Grace Bustamante, Veterinary League of the Philippines, Norman Tan, the Department of Agriculture. Guests of Senator Robin Hood Padilla, UP, NCPAG, Philippine Society for Public Administration, Association of Public Administration, and DAP Graduate School of Public Administration. We honor our guests, Mr. President. One more, Mr. President, students from the Shalom Mason Authentic. We honor our guests, Mr. President.
To the aforementioned guests, welcome to your Senate. Majority Leader.
Mr. President,
the pleasure of the Honorable Villanueva.
Yes, Mr. President, may I join the Majority Leader and the Senate President in welcoming our guests from the gallery? I just have to give honor to whom honor is due. My professor from UP and CPAG is here, Professor Alex Brillantes. And of course, Mr. President, our guests from the National Press Club, the officers are also here with us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Again, welcome to your Senate. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 47th session, Tuesday, January 28, 2025, and consider the same as approved.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we defer the approval of the journal of the 49th session, Tuesday, February 4, 2025.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, 1 minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session is suspended.
Mr. President, considering that Senate Bill number 2699 or the bill on Konektadong Pinoy is a certified measure, I'd like to request the Secretary to read the letter of certification from President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Senate Secretary is ready to comply.
Malacanang, Palas, Manila, 27 January 2025. Senator Francis Chief G.S. Cordero, Senate President, Senate of the Philippines, Pasay City. Mr. Senate President, pursuant to the provisions of Article 6, Section 26, Paragraph 2 of the 1987 Constitution, I hereby certify that the necessity of the immediate enactment of Senate Bill number 2699, an act establishing a comprehensive and inclusive data transmission and connectivity framework for the Philippines, to facilitate the development of a robust and resilient communications infrastructure and establish a competitive and innovation-driven data transmission industry that will safeguard the public interest, promote fair competition, encourage investment in critical digital networks, and equip the government and the public with the necessary tools to maintain vital communications channels and effectively respond to emergency situations. Thus regards, very truly yours, the President of the Philippines.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, before I move to consider on third reading Senate Bill number 2699, this representation, 6 recognition, just to spread into the records my intent yesterday for purposes of statutory construction, Mr. President.
The gentleman may proceed.
Mr. President, yesterday, when I proposed the amendment on line 5 and 4 of page 22, my intent, and let this be placed on the record, is for the students to have a mandatory discount of internet fees, Mr. President. The telcos should be mandated to provide substantial discount to students, college, high schools, all use, and even elementary students using the internet for their studies. Yun lamang po, Mr. President, at yun po ang bahagi ng aking legislative intent as accepted by His Honor Senator
Noted
Alan
and
Cayetano.
entered into the records.
Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading Senate Bill number 2699. I so move, Mr. President.
Consideration on third reading of the aforementioned bill is now in order. Senate Secretary is directed to read the title only of the measure and to proceed to roll call vote.
An act establishing a comprehensive and inclusive data transmission and connectivity framework for the Philippines. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, yes, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, Senator Zubiri, the Senate President.
With 16 affirmative votes, 0 negatives, 0 abstention, Senate Bill number 2699 is approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, the following are seeking the floor to express their explanation of vote. Senators Grace Poe, Gatchalian, and this representation in that order.
Senator Grace Poe is recognized to enter her explanation of vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank the sponsor, Senator Alan, for shepherding this critical measure. I'm also an author of this bill. We rank fourth in terms of time spent on social media. At least it will open up more players para mas mabilis ang daloy ng impormasyon sa ating bansa. Kaya ito ay isang mabuting bagay na nagawa natin bago tayo nag-adjourn by easing registration and injecting much-needed competition in our ICT industry. We hope to achieve the internet infra that our digitally hungry kababayans deserve. We again thank our Senate President and then also the Chair for sponsoring this critical measure and look forward to its implementation. Thank you.
Mr. President, Senator Gatchalian is seeking the floor.
Senator Gatchalian is recognized for his brief explanation of vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise today to cast my yes vote for the Konektadong Pinoy. Sa panahon ngayon, ang mahinang internet ay hindi lang abala, kundi sagabal sa pag-unlad. A weak communication structure means a lot of missed opportunities, limited access to essential services, and increasing gap between those who can keep up with the demands of the modern economy and those who are left behind. Sa madaling salita, ang hindi konektado, siya ang napag-iiwanan. The passage of this measure will facilitate the development of a robust and resilient information and communications infrastructure that will empower education, drive economic growth, and strengthen public services and enhance disaster response. Walang mag-aaral na dapat mahuli sa klase dahil lang sa mahina o walang signal. Walang negosyanteng dapat malugi dahil hindi niya maabot ang kanyang mga mamimili online. At higit sa lahat, walang komunidad ang dapat maputulan ng komunikasyon, lalo na sa panahon ng sakuna. Beyond expanding internet access, this proposed measure will establish a competitive and innovation-driven data transmission industry that will safeguard the public interest, promote fair competition, encourage investment in critical digital networks, and equip both the government and the public with necessary tools to maintain vital communication channels. Matagal nang reklamo ng ating mga kababayan ang mabagal at mahal na internet. Oras na para tapusin ang monopoly mindset at bigyan daan ang patas at makabagong kompetisyon upang mas umunlad ang ating digital infrastructure. I vote yes because a konektadong Pinoy is a stronger, smarter, and more empowered Filipino, and a digitally connected nation is a nation that is ready to compete and succeed in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Noted and entered into the record. Senator Villanueva, what is your pleasure?
Mr. President, may I be allowed to just explain my vote?
The gentleman may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, dear colleagues. As one of the authors and the co-sponsors of the measure, we'd like to thank and spread into the records our commendation to the sponsor, our distinguished colleague, brother Senator Alan Peter Compañero Cayetano, for his hard work in pushing for this bill, which will finally address the long-standing issues of digital connectivity in our country today. In an era where reliable and affordable internet access is a necessity, and not even a luxury, Mr. President, this bill ensures that no Filipino is left behind. Whether for education, business, government services, or disaster response, connectivity, Mr. President, is a lifeline. This is especially true for our learners, for whom access to the internet can make or break them in their schooling and beyond. The government recognizes this as an urgent need, and that's why in the 2025 General Appropriations Act, the Department of Information and Communications Technology has been allocated 7.5 billion pesos to sustain the free public internet access program. With the enactment of the Konektadong Pinoy Act, we are very much hopeful, Mr. President, that more resources can be dedicated to ensuring that everyone has access to the internet. We believe that digital inclusion is essential for progress, and this bill is a key milestone in building a connected, empowered, and future-ready Philippines. For these reasons, Mr. President, I vote yes. Maraming salamat po at pagpalain tayong lahat ng ating Panginoong Diyos.
Noted and entered into the records. Majority Floor Leader may proceed to explain his vote.
Mr. President, before I explain my vote, Senate President Pro Tem is seeking the floor.
Senator Jingo Estrada, Senate President Pro Tem, what is your pleasure, sir?
President Pro Tem.
Explanation of vote.
Gentleman may proceed.
Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, I express my full and unwavering support for Senate Bill number 2699, also known as the Konektadong Pinoy Act. It is with great honor and responsibility that I cast my vote in favor of this landmark legislation, which seeks to bridge the digital divide and ensure that every Filipino has access to fast, reliable, and affordable internet connectivity. In today's rapidly advancing digital age, access to the internet is no longer a luxury, but a necessity. It is the great equalizer, providing opportunities for education, employment, business, and even government services. However, the reality remains that millions of Filipinos, especially those in far-flung provinces and marginalized communities, continue to struggle with poor connectivity, high data costs, and limited access to digital resources. This bill aims to change that reality. The Konektadong Pinoy Act mandates the development of a comprehensive digital infrastructure program that will expand broadband access across the nation. It calls for strategic investments in fiber optic networks, satellite technology, and other means of connectivity to ensure that no Filipino is left behind in the digital revolution. Mr. President, dear colleagues, our vote today is not just a policy decision. It is a promise to our people, a promise that we will do everything in our power to ensure that no Filipino is disconnected from opportunities simply because of where they live. It is a commitment to inclusivity, progress, and a digitally empowered nation. With this, Mr. President, I will proudly vote yes. Let us move forward together toward a truly konektadong Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
Noted and entered into the records. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, let me place into the records some salient portions of my explanation of vote without prejudice at the submission of an exhaustive explanation. Mr. President, nagpapasalamat po ako kay Senator Alan Peter Cayetano dahil tinanggap po yung aking mga proposed amendments, namely, prioritizing areas near educational institutions in unserved and underserved areas. This amendment will ensure that equitable internet access across the country will be assured, particularly in those regions lacking sufficient infrastructure, thereby hindering economic growth, education, and social inclusion. Second, ensuring continuous and uninterrupted data transmission during emergencies and calamities. Kailangan po natin ito dahil po pag merong mga kalamidad, ang ating po mga mobile networks lamang at satellite phones ang nakakatulong. Thirdly, and this was part of my earlier manifestation, the introduction of discount for student users. Mr. President, collaborating with telcos to make internet use access more affordable for students will enhance digital literacy and support their needs. Investing in our youth is crucial for building a brighter future for our nation. I vote yes, Mr. President. Thank you.
Noted and entered into the records. Before we proceed, Chair would like to correct the number of votes cast in favor of the measure because of the technical problems with the audio of Senator Legarda. Her vote was not earlier recorded, so it's 17 votes in favor of the measure. Majority Rule Leader.
Mr. President, I voted in favor of the measure. Yes.
Yes, as duly noted by the Chair. Noted. Majority Rule Leader.
Mr. President, before we proceed with the other measures, I move for the approval of the journal for the 29th session, November 5 to 7, 11 to 14, 18 to 19, 2024.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Aforementioned journals are now deemed approved. Majority Rule Leader.
Mr. President, we are in receipt of the Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill number 2804 and House Bill number 11230. These are the bills on the New Development Bank of the Philippines Act. With that, I move to recognize Senator Mark Villar, Chairman of the Senate panel, to give the highlights of the Conference Committee report. And so move, Mr. President.
Senator Villar is recognized to sponsor the bicameral conference committee report. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. And distinguished colleagues, a pleasant afternoon to all of you. I have the honor of submitting for ratification the bicameral conference committee report on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill number 2804 and House Bill number 11230, otherwise known as the New Development Bank of the Philippines Act. Mr. President, the Senate conferees, alongside with our House of Representatives counterparts, have resolved to adopt the Senate version as the bicameral conference committee's working draft. Mr. President, this proposed measure will enable the DBP to continuously support national development goals while ensuring that the benefits of these projects reach ordinary Filipinos in terms of job opportunities, better services, and improved livelihoods. One of the most distinct features of this bill is the increased capitalization to be provided to DBP, which would give them heightened ability to issue more loans to fund critical projects for priority sectors such as infrastructure, health, social services, and agriculture. With this new charter of the DBP, we could expect increased implementation of basic public services for our Filipinos. This amended charter will expand DBP's powers and functions, which would enable it to live out its development governmental mandate while maintaining sound profitability and a strong balance sheet. To conclude, I would like to thank the members of the bicameral conference panel of both the Senate and House of Representatives for their invaluable contribution to the making of this bill. I would also like to express my gratitude to our colleagues for their unyielding support for this new DBP charter, particularly to our Senate President, Chis Escudero, Senator Joel Villanueva, and Senator Cynthia Villar for their authorship of the bill. My sincerest thanks also goes to our Majority Leader, Senator Francis Tolentino, and Minority Leader, Senator Coco Pimentel, for their beneficial contributions to the measure's refinement. Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move that the joint explanatory statement of the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill number 2804 and House Bill number 11230 be read in total into the record and that the bicameral conference committee report be ratified. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. The conference committee report on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill number 2804 and House Bill number 11230 is hereby approved and ratified. Session is suspended for a minute. Imposed order within the plenary and within the chamber.
The Sergeant at Arms is directed to post order. Mr. President, I insist on my minute suspension. I'll approach the sponsor, Mr. President.
Session suspended for a minute. Mr. President, Your Honor, the requirements that the government should undertake and comply with before they can affect any optimization on any agency of government. But essentially, the heart and soul of the bill would be essentially the same as what Senator Villanueva filed and what this representation filed before the substitution.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to make sure and spread into the records because just by listening to the statements given to us by our good sponsor, I am actually seeing most, if not all, of these items and provisions that he is mentioning as part of the bill that this representation filed, which is Senate Bill number 1474 and Senate Bill number 2502. I was about to ask Mr. President the difference because considering that what we are deliberating upon right now here in the plenary is Senate Bill number 890 authored by the Senate President. I also remember and would like to state for the record that during the consultative meeting held last January 7, the Senate President stated that the bill that we filed, Senate Bill number 2502, will be used as the basis of the amendment by substitution. So we again would like to spread into the records our sincerest thanks and gratitude to our Senate President for considering the measures, the bills that this representation filed, Mr. President. Thank you. Mr. President, on my second question, Mr. President, do you know how does this bill differ from previous right-sizing efforts, Mr. President? May we know what components of right-sizing or optimization are included in this measure that are not found in the reorganizational reforms of previous administrations, Mr. President?
Not only the reorganizational reforms, Mr. President, but even the very provisions of the Administrative Code of 1987, which actually authorizes the President to either abolish, merge, or create offices. The main distinction, Mr. President, is that none of those laws actually outlined the requirements for being looked for by most of our colleagues. For example, a study. No such law previously passed, nor a provision of the Administrative Code required a specific study to be had before any optimization can be done on any agency. Number two, consultation and consultative requirements were also never provided for. Perhaps, Mr. President, these are the top two reasons why right-sizing and or optimization was never or not as successful before as it should be. Hopefully, under this piece of legislation.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm glad and appreciate this measure under this committee report on optimizing the executive branch will be created to oversee the implementation of the government optimization program. It says here, among others, it shall conduct studies on the mandates, functions, programs, projects, operation structure, and manpower complement of the covered government agencies and instrumentalities. It shall also develop and prepare the optimized organization structure of agencies concerned. So I just want to put that on record that I'm glad that it's part of it. Mr. President, lastly, Mr. President, several government workers are understandably worried. And as chairperson of the Senate Committee on Labor, we have been talking to some of the labor groups, and some of them are worried that this might probably result in thousands of civil servants losing their jobs, etc. At ito rin po yung pinakamahalaga para sa atin, no, bilang representative ng ating mga kababayan, ng mga manggagawa natin, yung pong masiguro na mapoprotektahan natin sila, mapoprotektahan yung kabuhayan ng ating mga kawani ng pamahalaan. I mean, Mr. President, how many workers are estimated to be affected by government optimization program? Matatanggalan po ba talaga sila ng trabaho? What safeguards are in place under the measure that would ensure the protection of their welfare, Mr. President?
400,000 civil servants.
Sa galang ng Pangulo at sa kinatawan mula sa Bulacan, Senador mula sa Bulacan, tulad ng sinabi niya kanina, ang ibig sabihin ng right sizing, optimization ay hindi lamang pagbabawas o pagtatanggal ng mga empleyado sa gobyerno. Kabilang ng optimization ang paglikha ng mga bagong pwesto na mas angkop, bagay at kinakailangan ng panahon at ng serbisyong dapat binibigay ng pamahalaan sa ating mga kababayan. So hindi ko po sasagutin ng inyong katanungan kung ilan ang matatanggal. Ang babanggitin ko po ay numero ng maapektuhang mga posisyon o tao na maaaring maiangat, tumaas, malipat, pero hindi na nangangahulugang automatic na ibabawas o tatanggalin. At ang bilang na binibigay ng DBM sa kanilang nais target ay humigit kumulang 400,000 posisyon. Pero kabilang ulitin ko dito, ang pag-upskill sa kanila, ang pag-promote sa kanila, ang paglipat sa kanila sa ibang mas kailangang posisyon at opisina, at hindi lamang nangangahulugan na pagtanggal sa kanila mula sa serbisyo. So wala po kaming figure kung ilan ang tatanggalin dahil wala naman pong planong tanggalin na bilang. Meron po kami target na posisyon na i-optimize para mas maging efficient ang pamahalaan.
Gusto ko pong susugan, Ginoong Pangulo, yung binanggit ng ating sponsor, na yung optimization is not only limited to the elimination of redundancies, overlaps, and duplications in operation. But I think it is important to note that it entails the possible creation of an agency or a unit or a position which is deemed necessary for the agency or the department's operations or performance po ng mga essential functions. Nakita ko po dito sa Section 13 ng Panukalang Batas, nagpo-provide po ng retirement benefits and separation incentives for personnel who may be affected by the optimization program. Gusto lamang po natin, Mr. President, na siguruhin na kung meron man po na may mag-apply ng retirement o separation from the agencies, meron po incentives na makukuha at mapoprotektahan ang ating mga manggagawa. Yun po ba ay nakasaad dito po sa panukalang batas na ito.
Opo, at yun din ang pinagkaiba nito sa ibang panukalang batas o batas kaugnay ng right sizing dahil wala po ito sa Revised Administrative Code of 1987. At tiniyak po natin na yung mas maikling panahon sa pamahalaan na posibleng mas bata ay makakatanggap ng mas malaking benepisyo kumpara sa mas matagal na may mas malaking benepisyo ng matatanggap mula sa GSIS para mas maging patas, parehas at makatarungan tayo kung sakasakali sa mga empleyadong maapektuhan nitong mga pagbabagong ito sa organisasyon ng pamahalaan.
Ginoong Pangulo, may EO number 366 na kung saan po meron pong 974 affected employees noon ay na-transfer by the Civil Service Commission to a recipient agencies which needed additional personnel. May mga ganito po bang mekanismo rin na maaaring ipatupad ng panukalang ito na kung sakaling hindi na sila pakikinabangan ng isang ahensya or may overlapping na yung function na pwede silang ilipat sa ibang ahensya ng ating pamahalaan.
Opo, kabilang po sa may pwedeng magawa ay yung tinatawag nating transfer at maliban po dyan, ito rin ang isang unique feature ng panukalang batas, ay meron din po tayong tinatawag na programa para sa upskilling. Para mabigyan sila ng kinakailangan kaalaman o hindi man talento para magampanan ng ibang tungkulin na maaaring kailangan ng pamahalaan na pwede pa rin nilang punuan bagaman hindi nila kasalukuyang ginagawa.
Maraming salamat, Ginoong Pangulo, at siguro yung huling katanungan ko just for the record ay sapagkat ang panukalang batas nito napakahalaga, Mr. President, dahil kagaya for example, Mr. President, nung EO number 366, ang gobyerno po nag-generate ng 4.247 billion pesos in personal services, savings, and paid 5 billion in incentives and terminal leave benefits to personnel who opted to retire or be separated from the service. So, Ginoong Pangulo, yung huling katanungan ko lang po, para lang po ma-spread natin sa records, meron po ba pag-aaral ang Department of Budget and Management na in place or iniisip o kahit estimate na kung saan magkano yung matitipid ng ating gobyerno, magkano yung inaalak nila kung sakaling magkaroon ng retirement benefits and separation incentives under the bill. Nang sa ganun po, malinaw na maipakita natin sa taong bayan na ito ang way to go. And I believe that, Mr. President, because at the end of the day, yung mga overlapping functions, ating budget deliberations dito sa Senado, ang dami natin nakikita na may mga ahensya na ng pamahalaan. Hindi na huwag magpapaligoy-ligoy pa. Yung optical media board. Ano ba gagawin natin sa optical media board? And things like that, no? And I can cite several agencies and bureaus in the government na I think we really need to act upon, Mr. President.
Mr. President, given that it's not only, as I said earlier, abolition or retrenchment or retirement of workers, we have several options. The amount estimated in the cost-benefit analysis of the DBM would be, they just gave ranges, Mr. President.
Yes.
3% of the estimated number of affected personnel that they are trying to focus on, it's a 1.28 billion annual savings. If it reaches a high of 7% of the focused positions, it will be 2.69 billion in savings. But if you multiply that, Mr. President, by the long-term benefits of the measure, although the amounts may seem small, it will redound to a larger figure.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Again, almost 4 billion a year.
Yes,
save ng ating pamahalaan. Kaya po tayo ay naniniwala sa panukalang batas na ito at nakita natin, Ginoong Pangulo, may mga mekanismo para protektahan ang ating mga kababayan, maging ang ating mga manggagawa o kawani ng ating pamahalaan. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our distinguished sponsor, our Senate President, for taking the cudgels in sponsoring this very important piece of legislation, and let me spread into the records that this representation fully supports this measure. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Pangulo, at papalain tayong lahat ng ating Panginoong Diyos. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, to our distinguished gentleman from the distinguished gentleman from Bulacan for his inputs.
Thank you, Senator Villanueva, Majority Leader. President, the Minority Leader is seeking the floor. The Minority Leader is Senator Coco Pimentel. The next Congressman of the City of Marikina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, who will give the nickname of Nostradamus too. Thank you. With the permission of our Senate President, who is the sponsor and the author, also the author of this mention on right sizing. But actually, Mr. President, from the interpellation of Senator Villanueva, I think we should be changing our terminology. It's no longer. It's definitely not downsizing. It is, and the title is right sizing, but actually we're introducing the concept of optimization, Mr. President. Yes. May we know more about what is this new concept that this bill is really about, the optimization of not only the size but also of the operations of the government, Mr. President.
Mr. President, it's actually the same, only that right sizing has been given such a bad connotation in previous years that it means downsizing, it means cutting down, it means retrenchment, it means removing employees. That's one of the main reasons why, without any pun intended, that's one of the main reasons why we changed the name actually. Although it essentially means the same based on a dictionary, we wanted to emphasize that with this change of name, it does not only mean reducing the number of employees, it may actually include increasing the number of hires in government, but more relevant ones and what are really needed instead of what we have right now.
This is a substitute bill already. So, did the original bill contain the word optimization?
Yes.
Yes. From the very start. Okay. So from the very start, that has been. So what? That's why I'm asking this, because what is the problem that we are trying to address with this measure, Mr. President?
Several, Mr. President. To name a few. Number one, everybody has been looking for a study, but it was not actually, and it's never actually been required. But it is indeed required, as we have all heard and as we have all heard from our colleagues. So, among others, Mr. President, this bill seeks to require such a study before optimizing any agency of government. Number two, we also specified representation of employees organizations, relevant employees organizations at every stage of the process in order to give them a voice and to keep them abreast of what is going on, what the plans are, and what the studies are saying. And number three, Mr. President, would be insofar as the benefits to be given to affected employees, not only by way of a separation pay, but also the possibility of retooling, reskilling in order to perform other functions.
Now, we are going to give employees organizations a role in the process that we are making possible because of the bill. But right now, there is no such process available. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, Mr. President. Perhaps that's one of the main reasons why right-sizing attempts before did not or have not succeeded. Because it always faced stiff opposition without a mechanism for dialogue.
And we are creating a committee on optimizing the executive branch because our bill, itong panukalang batas, only specifically covers the executive branch but not the whole of the executive branch, because yung mga UCCs under the GCG are not covered by this measure. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, Mr. President, Your Honor, because under the GCG law, they are authorized already to optimize the government-owned and controlled corporations. And in fact, we can give you the list of the GOCCs that they have already optimized the staffing pattern and organizational structure of the total number of GOCCs.
Mga ilan po yun?
Out of the 119 GOCCs, the number of reorganized GOCCs are 36. Number of GOCCs with planning actions would be 25. Yung wala pa pong ginagalaw out of the 119, wala pa pong nangyayari ay 29. We can give you the document, Mr. President.
Doon po sa 36 po ba yun yung reorganized already by the GCG?
Yes, Mr. President.
So, meron po bang pag-aaral? Ano po ang naging benepisyo? Let's say, nakatipid ba? Kumonti ba ang empleyado? Naging mas mabilis ba ang transaction time with the GOCCs? Tumaas ba ang kanilang income or dividend remittance sa treasury?
Well, according to GCG evaluation of the GOCCs, Mr. President, there is no hard and fast rule na dumami o kumonte. May dumami, may kumonte, but whether dumami o kumonte, mas naging efficient daw yung GOCC based on the parameters, evaluation parameters that the GCG is using for GOCCs.
Tumaas ang mga score, bale?
Tumaas yung score. Pero wala pong rule na tumaas pero kumonte, tumaas pero dumami. It varies, Mr. President.
Apa. So, thank you. So, ilan po itong GOCCs na hindi nasa ilalim sa GCG? Ilan pa ba yan?
15 GOCCs, Mr. President, Your Honor, which are under DBM. Name a few. Would you want an idea?
Yes, pero bakit din na lang natin sila kaya linagay sa GCG from the very start?
By charter of the GCG, they are not included, Mr. President, Your Honor.
Why did we make that conscious policy decision that when we wrote the law of the GCG, we excluded around 15 GOCCs from its jurisdiction?
Based on the GCG charter, Mr. President, they do not perform any commercial functions. These are export zones. For example, Bataan, Peco, Lung Center, Kidney Center, Phil Rice, PVDEC, Subic Bay, Metropolitan Authority, Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone. These were specifically excluded in the GCG charter.
Because they are not supposed to be earning?
They are not supposed to be income generating, Mr. That's not their primary role.
Okay. Pero as far as optimization is concerned, can GCG be the one in charge of the optimization of these 15 GOCCs?
Under this bill, Mr. President, it's under, it would be under this bill, Mr. President, not under the GCG. It will follow the processes provided for in this proposed bill.
Yes, because we know that they are not under the GCG.
Yes.
Pero si GCG nga, gagawa na nga niya for those under. How is it possible conceptually that when it comes to optimization, we will allow GCG to optimize these 15 not-for-profit GOCCs?
No. The GCG charter excludes it, Mr. President, but we can include them here if that is the desire of the honorable minority floor leader. But right now, as written in the bill, they are not included. They are included in the bill and not part of GCG because that was in the previous law.
Yes, I have noticed that, Mr. President. That's why I'm bringing up the idea. Kasi si GCG, nag-optimize na siya ng GOCCs. Meron lang 15 GOCC na wala sa jurisdiction ni GCG. Pero pagdating sa optimization, baka kaya na rin ni GCG maturuan ang 15 GOCCs na yun as far as optimization is concerned.
Actually, Mr. President, Your Honor, I think the reservation only that I have is that the GCG charter itself does not include these corporations, and if we will include them in the right sizing, is it going to be the intention of the author, of the good gentleman rather, to already place them under GCG? That would be a totally different regime altogether, Mr. President, Your Honor. Again, because they're not, their primary purpose is not income.
Yes, I know. That's why I was limiting my question to as far as this concept of optimization is concerned.
Again, the reservation only is that there might be some confusion that GCG would already have other powers over these corporations not intended to be under GCG to begin with. But we will submit at the proper time, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President. Thank you for entertaining, at least entertaining the idea, Mr. President. Ito pong ating panukala ay nauna naman doon sa Department of Government Efficiency ni President Trump.
Nauna pong final ito, pero wala naman pong batas yun. Invento lang yata yun, Mr. President, Your Honor. I don't think there's a...
Pero ganun din nata, isa rin nata yun nasa gusto natin ma-achieve, no? Government efficiency, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, Your Honor, in order to be able to make government more efficient and more cost-effective.
Mr. President, hindi ba kaya gawin na yan ngayon under present law? Kasi for example, si Department of Agrarian Reform Secretary Conrad Estrella, during the budget process, parati niya sinasabi sa atin, he availed of this scrap and build concept which is allowed under existing law. So, can that not be resorted to without to make government more efficient, Mr. President?
Well, yes, Mr. President, Your Honor. The problem faced by the scrap and build method, Mr. President, as a rule, is that, number one, as I said, although it is provided for by law in the Administrative Code of 1987, the requirements we're trying to impose under this bill is not there, like the study, like the consultation with the employees' organizations, like the giving of a different separation pay that is more equitable and justified to affected employees compared to merely receiving benefits from GSIS on the assumption that they already served long enough to receive any benefits from GSIS.
But some of the concepts within scrap and build are present or incorporated in this bill, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, Your Honor, it is because, for example, abolition, creation, consolidation, merger are all tools available under this bill.
Tapos, Mr. President, hindi po ba may kapangyarihan na ang Presidente under existing law, more specifically the Administrative Code, to reorganize, if not the entire executive branch, at least a significant part of the executive branch?
That is correct, Mr. President. That was the very first question I asked in the consultative meeting. What is this for and do we need this? The answer given to me was that it is needed, again, because of the absence or lack of rules on how to do it, what should be done before it is going to be applied to a particular government agency. And again, the problem of being able to give separation pay on top of GSIS benefits, assuming, again, they will be qualified to receive any such benefits from GSIS, given the short length of service they may have.
Cannot those concerns be addressed by the President or the Office of the President through the issuances of EOs, AOs, memorandum circulars to fill in the details, Mr. President?
According to DBM, Mr. President, it is best placed in the law rather than by mere administrative or executive issuances by the President because of the questions that might be raised about its constitutionality, especially with respect to the disbursement of funds.
Assuming that this bill becomes law, can the it is the who makes the final decision, Mr. President? Is it the COEB or the President of the Republic? Especially on the abolition or the merger of government agency or body.
It will be fine. It will finally be. It will be a recommendation coming from the COEB, and then the President will issue an executive order, Mr. President. So yun yung final act itself. But the agency itself would have to issue the corresponding actual offices to be created or merged in line and in accordance with the EO. I-implement po ng agency yun, base sa EO.
The agency.
Siya po yung mag-i-implement ng nasa EO.
Affected.
Yes.
It is affected. Okay, so if the EO calls for the abolition of an agency, the agency would issue something.
In compliance, Mr. President, with the executive order to be issued by the President based on the recommendation of the COEB as provided for in section 12, I believe.
Has the GCG, I'll go back to the GCG, has the GCG ever abolished a GOCC?
Yes, it has, according to them, and Kedancor would be an example of such GOCC abolished by the GCG.
So, mga ilan po ang na-abolish ng GCG?
32 in all, according to them.
32? Okay, so...
Well, since we didn't hear of it being abolished, I guess it was really not needed, Mr. President, Your Honor.
But of course,
we'll give you the rest, Mr.
so
President.
what do we envision here, Mr. President? Ang GCG kasi GOCC yun. Ano na-envision natin dito? That there will be bureaus or divisions or agencies which can possibly be abolished?
Not necessarily abolished, Mr. President, Your Honor, but more, that's why ARTA is playing an important role in the COEB, Mr. President. Because this should be done hand in hand with ARTA. Ano ba talaga yung kailangan? Baka naman may mga proseso hindi na kailangan o dapat alisin. Hindi na kailangan yung opisina yun. Pero yung kapangyarihan mag-issue ng license, pwede pa rin at kailangan pa rin. Baka naman may kailangan ibang opisina, kaugnay ng IT halimbawa na kailangan i-create, kaugnay sa pag-deliver ng digital services dun sa ahensyang yun. Again, these questions would best be answered by the COEB and on the study that is being required to be conducted before the optimization can be done on any agency.
When the optimization action requires the creation of positions, hindi po ba under present law, DBM must authorize the creation of the position? So, under this bill ba, babaguhin natin yung procedure na yun?
Mr. President, it would still require DBM. In fact, DBM is part of the COEB as well. So once the COEB recommends that to the President, the creation of certain positions would carry with it already, Mr. President, the authority of the DBM as provided for in section 12 and 13 of the proposed bill. Halimbawa ngayon, Mr. President, ngayon may ginagawa po tayo sa Senado na ipepresent ako sa management at rank and file. Hindi naman talaga optimization, pero pagsasaayos ng mga posisyon. Dahil kung mapapansin ninyo, kada department sa Senado, minsan iba yung highest ranking salaried personnel sa department, sa bureau, sa office at sa division. Ang pinakamataas sa isa hanggang LSO 3 lang, yung isa LSO 5. So magiging lateral na yung promotion niya dahil wala siyang kasunod, kailangan pa ng permission sa civil service dahil alampas ng dalawa yung haakbangan niya. So our experience with the help of NCPAG, UP NCPAG, Mr. President, Your Honor, is we actually ended up creating more positions than abolishing positions, especially given the fact that we will be transferring to our new building, which carries with it more responsibilities as well. Dahil hindi na tayo lessee, possible lessor pa tayo. At mas marami na tayong kailangan gawing trabaho. So, it doesn't follow. There shouldn't be any concerns really in automatic optimization, right sizing, may tatanggalin. Hindi po.
Yes, kung yung meron, sa experience pa ng Senado, so may proposal na magdagdag, don't we need DBM's approval?
Yes, really. Yes, and as soon as we do the consultation with employees and everything is understood and explained and okay, then we will ask permission from the DBM to create those positions, although it is completely chargeable against our own funds. And we won't be asking any funds from DBM in addition to our current budget.
So that the permanent position is created.
Yes, Mr. President.
That's the part.
Yes,
Pero,
Mr. President.
pag naging batas na po ito, Kasi ang legislature ata dito, ni-encourage din na i-adapt din yung optimization. Pag maging batas na po ito, mawawala ba yung step na yun that the DBM will approve the request for additional positions?
Only for those covered agencies, Mr. President, Your Honor. But for agencies that are not covered, like the Senate, it would still require DBM.
Okay, kaya nga. So, pagdating doon sa covered sa executive branch plus the more or less 15 GOCCs, mawawala yung step na yun?
Yes, mawawala po yun. Kasi bahagi naman ng DBM dun sa COEB na dininig ito, kinonsidera ito, kasama siya sa pagdebate at botohan at pagrekomenda sa Pangulo kung anong ilalagay dun sa executive order ng mga bagong posisyon na ililika.
So, pwedeng yung DBM secretary or representative sa COEB ay bumoto against the proposal but was outvoted.
That is possible, Mr. President, Your Honor. But at the end of the day, Mr. President, the executive should always get its act together. They can arrive at it via the simple order by the highest officer, by a vote, but at the end of the day, they should only have one position as the executive branch.
And this bill makes that arrangement already mandatory.
Yes, Mr. President.
Or binding, Mr. President. Okay.
Yes, Mr.
So
President.
siguro, Mr. President, one last question na lang. Can the President, through the procedure here in our bill, abolish an agency created by law?
Yes, Mr. President, because even under the authority given to the President by the Administrative Code of 1987, he can do that, Mr. President. And it has been done. I'll just get an example, Mr. President.
Because I looked at the administrative code, Mr. President, I did not get that impression that the President can abolish an agency created by law.
Under EO 366, Mr. President, according to our resource person, they were only able to do the activation because that was the only thing authorized under EO 366.
May we get the date of that EO, Mr. President? Baka
2004, Mr. President.
2004?
Under President Jimmy.
So is it the input from our sponsor that under that EO, an agency created by law was abolished?
I stand corrected, Mr. President, Your Honor. An agency created by law cannot be abolished. It can only be deactivated by executive fiat. A law is still necessary to abolish a government agency created by law. So the example cited earlier by Senator Villanueva, yung Optical Media Board, the executive can deactivate it, but only an act of Congress can abolish it because it was an act of Congress that created it to begin with.
What would be the practical effect of deactivation? Stop ang sweldo nila?
Hindi po. Yung affected employees will be transferred to other agencies.
So, issue na rin yun. Yeah, so at present, we can actually optimize by deactivation, Mr. President. Tama?
An example, according to them, Mr. President, is the EIIB. Then, panahon ni dating Pangulong Estrada, dine-activate lang din po kasi wala pa ring batas na napapasa para i-abolish. Yung mga empleyado po nila nilipat sa ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan. DOF, BIR, DOC.
So, it can be done and it has been done.
It has been done, Mr. President.
So, siguro mag-house cleaning din tayo. Hanapin natin yung mga ahensyang ganyan at let's pass the law so that formally we are ano tawag doon? Putting the period to that unfinished sentence, Mr. President.
That is correct, Mr. President, Your Honor. That is part of the mandate of the COEB to give the recommendations also to the Congress kung ano na ba talaga yung wala.
Pero Mr. President, medyo hindi naman dapat pala masyadong katakutan ito dahil sunset.
Yes, Mr. President. I insisted on the sunset clause. This cannot go on forever, Mr. President. And that was accepted by the DBM.
So, ibig sabihin nito, I mean, it's an experiment kung it's time limited naman. So,
Congress can decide to extend it, but let the future Congress decide on that. For the meantime, we gave it a sunset clause.
Ilang years po?
5 years, Mr. President, Your Honor.
Okay. So yes, with that, Mr. President, mukhang sa una kasi natakot ako na baka maabuso or may ma-abolish na created by law, pero hindi naman pala mangyayari at saka meron tayong sunset talaga provision. So this is parang a special power to be given the President through the Committee on Optimization and Efficiency. So I would be willing to take the risk, Mr. President. And then, anyway, nag-focus na tayo na optimization nito. Hindi na, I think the word downsizing is never used in the bill.
No.
Never used.
No, Mr. President.
So, with that, Mr. President, I thank the sponsor and for his patience. And maraming salamat po sa...
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you,
Mr. President, Mr. President, there being no member who wishes to interpolate, I move that we close the period. Mr. President, I move that we open the period of amendments and recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, Senator Chis.
Is there an objection? There being none, motion is approved.
May I propose the following amendments, Mr. President, Your Honor? Please proceed. On page 4, after line 28, after subsection B, add the following subsections and renumber the succeeding subsections accordingly. Quote, C. The government shall recognize the principle of equal pay for equal work, semicolon. D. The government shall respect the right to self-organization of employees in the public sector, comma, and shall encourage participation in matters affecting their rights, semicolon, close quotations. I so move, Mr. President.
To any objection, there being none, the amendment is approved.
May I request for 1 minute suspension, Mr.
Session
President.
suspended.
Namamatay kaagad. Hindi po sila pumapangit, hindi sila namamayat. Tinanong po sila kung anong ginagamit nila. Ang sinabi po nila, cannabis. Kasi sila daw po ay nakakakain at nakakatulog. Kasi yun daw po din ang epekto ng AIDS. Ano? Kapag may AIDS ka, hindi ka rin makakain, hindi ka rin makatulog. So lahat po ng mga tinatawag po ng mga grabing sakit, ay ito na po talaga ang ibinibigay, yung cannabis po.
So, lahat po nung ibinahagi sa atin ng ating sponsor, lahat po ba yun ay mababackupan natin ng isang study na peer-reviewed study? Yung pumasa na sa mga standards ng international level na hindi ka lang basta-basta nagpapublish, rini-review ka ng mga dalubhasa din sa parehas na topic eh. So, kaya po yun? Kaya? So, panglaban sa pamamaga, inflammation, ang medical cannabis, we can support that with a scientific study na peer-reviewed. Tama po. Opo. Yung benepisyo ng medical cannabis sa cancer, ano pa isa, mga malubhang sakit. Marami po. Epilepsy? Epilepsy po.
Autism, dementia.
Okay, autism.
Neurology, infectious diseases, neuropathic pain, gastroenterology, oncology. Ito po lahat ito, Ginoong Pangulo, ang binabanggit ko po. Alam naman po natin, ang bansang Israel at ang bansang Canada at ang bansang Amerika po, Masabi ko lang di po Amerika, kahit nasa federal, hindi pa po sila approve, Pero ginagamit na po nila yung medical cannabis din po. Ang hindi po kasi approve sa Amerika, yung pong sa mga state yung recreational. Pero yung medical po, yan po ay katanggap-tanggap na po yan. Lahat po yan, evidence-based na po yan, scientific, may science na po yan. Katunayan po, ito pong mga research, ito po, Cannabis for Pediatric Epilepsy, National Library of Medicine. Ito po ay yung January 2020. Ito din po yung isa, Medical Cannabis for Children, Evidence and Recommendations, Canadian Pediatric Society. Ito po. At dito din po sinabi, use of cannabis and other pain treatments among adults with chronic pain in US states with medical cannabis programs. Ito din po, the health effects of cannabis and cannabinoids, National Academies of Science, Engineering and Medicine, Washington, D.C. At meron din pong toward medical cannabis education in Israel National Institute of Health, Israel. Lahat po ito, mga aking Ginoong Pangulo, lahat po ito ay nagsagawa ng kanilang research po at studies.
So, kung meron po nakikinig sa atin ngayon na gustong ma-access yung mga studies na yan para i-check niya mismo sa sarili niya, babasahin niya, ito po ba ay hawak na ng ating committee? Kaya nilang mahingi yan sa ating committee?
Opo, Ginoong Pangulo, katunayan po, nakailang beses na po kami nag-imbita ng mga doktor po galing sa ibang bansa at meron po sila talagang mga research po, research based. Handa po kami na i-furnish po sila lahat yan. Opo.
So, sa kaalaman ng ating sponsor, ilang bansa na ang pinapayagan nila ang medical use of cannabis and cannabis extracts? Mga ilang bansa na po yan?
Okay. Sa ngayon po, 7 bansa na po sa buong mundo ang nag-legal po ng ilang anyo ng cannabis, medical cannabis po. 50 bansa naman po noong maas po ito. Dati po 50, naging 70 na po.
Okay, sige.
Opo.
70. Sa pagkakalam ko, more than 190 ang members ng United Nations eh.
Opo.
So kung makikita natin, minority pa rin, 70. Ano kayang alam nung 120 other nations na hindi nag-adapt ng medical cannabis?
Siguro po, Ginoong Pangulo, kulang pa din po sila sa konti pong kaalaman. At siguro po, hindi pa po nila narinig pa yung bagong statement po ng United Nations po na iniiba po yung schedule po ng cannabis. Opo, dati po kasi talagang ito po ay sinasabi nilang bawal. Pero ngayon po sinabi nila bawal pa rin, pero meron po itong medicinal component na pwede po nilang pag-aralan pa. Kaya meron pong approved po ngayon eh. May approved po na dami ng tinatawag po na THC at ng CBD.
Sige po. Ano naman po ang danger nito? Kunyari, meron bang posible bang overdose dito?
Ang pinaka-overdose po ng cannabis matutulog po sa kakakain. Yun lamang po, wala pa pong naitala, wala pa pong naisulat na meron pong namatay po sa cannabis. Sa loob po ng 1,000 taon na ito po ay ginagamit na. Pag wala pa po sa panahon po ng Egyptian, sa lahat pa po, no? Wala pa pong na-record po na namatay po sa cannabis.
Pero meron po ako napanood na medyo, parang documentary din siya na accidentally, yung anak na babae, dalagita pa, kumain ng parang gummy candies, pero may cannabis, pala, sa US ito. At siyempre, tininato niyang candy yun, so naparami ang kain niya. Kailangan siyang itakbo sa hospital eh. So I think the overdose is more than just getting sleepy and having a good appetite. Meron din pong naging emergency case din po siya eh.
Siguro po, dala po ng panic. Siguro po, nagpanic po siya.
Nag-collapse yung ang anak nila, nag-collapse. Nakita nila, nandyan na lang sa...
Pero nabuhay.
Pero it was still an emergency. So, posibleng siyang nauna. Na-documented case na namatay.
Wala po kasi... Ginoong Pangulo, na-recorded po talaga na after po magkaroon ng ganong klaseng overdose, kasi hindi po talaga may iwasan. Kapag nasobrahan po, talagang matutulog po talaga, babagsak po talaga, ano? Pero hindi po talaga mamamatay. Wala pong magiging epekto sa puso niya, kahit po sa utak niya, basta pagising lang po, maghahanap lang po ng pagkain yun, sigurado po.
Yan po ba ang ating pinag-uusapan on the dangerous side effects of overdosing on medical cannabis or adverse effects, cannabis, cannabinoids. Walang hindi tumataas ng kanilang BP or heart rate to such dangerous levels, President?
Wala naman pong sa dangerous level. Wala pa po akong nakita talaga na nagkaroon pong ganun, ano? Pero marami po talaga yung automatic nagpapanik. Siyempre po, medyo iba sa kanila. Opo, marami pong ganyan. Marami pong mga video, marami pong mga pag-aaral na ganyan. Sa Prague nga po, may mga isinagawa po sila, no? Na mga ganyang pag-aaral. Ganun din po sa Israel. Kaya po, meron pong mga medicinal cannabis po ngayon na tinatanggal po yung panic, tinatanggal po yung, minsan, meron po dyan, yung anxious ka, yung mga paranoia. Meron po sila ngayon na tinatanggal na po nila yung mga effects na yun. Pati nga po yung namumula yung mata. Ginoong Pangulo, pag kinumpare po natin ang cannabis, yung medical cannabis, doon po sa recreational marijuana, malayo po talaga. Napakalayo po. Kasi yung pong medical cannabis, naaalis na po nila kahit yung pamumulan ng mata. Ano na po yan? Nandun na po sa development niya. Pero yung recreational marijuana po, talagang marumi yan. Hindi po talaga...
Wala sa usapan yan. Wala dito sa bill natin.
Opo.
Tapos medical use lang tayo ng cannabis and cannabis extracts, and these are prescription-based drugs or medicines.
Opo.
So hindi pa rin siya over the counter, basta kailangan doktor pa rin ang magbigay ng prescription o magrekomenda
Saka
ng
po,
gamot.
dapat po, Ginoong Pangulo, yung pong doktor, nakapag-aral po siya ng patungkol po sa cannabis. Opo, hindi po basta doktor lang.
Nasa bill natin yun.
Opo, nasa bill po natin.
Saan mag-aaral si doktor para makakuha ng additional knowledge or experience?
Katulad nitong huli, nagpadala po kami ng doktor dito, na galing po sa Amerika. Siya po ay si Shixia Gallo. Nagsagawa po siya dito ng seminar. Siya po ay clinical pathologist at siya din po ang maraming clinical and scientific studies na ginawa po sa Amerika.
So kung maging batas ito,
magpapapunta po tayo. Opo. Ng mga
anong body yung mag-organize ng mga fora na ganyan?
Opo, yung po ating bill nandoon po, no?
Ilan ba?
Opo, sa section 29. Ano na nga?
Section 29.
29. Opo. Ito po, basahin ko po, Ginoong Pangulo. Section 29, training of medical cannabis physicians, pharmacists, and other allied medical and healthcare professionals. The PMCA, the Philippine Medical Cannabis Authority, shall develop an appropriate training program for physicians, pharmacists, and other allied medical and healthcare professionals on the following topics: the pharmacology of cannabis, contraindications, side effects, adverse reactions, overdose prevention, drug interaction, dosing, routes of administration, risk and benefits, warnings and precautions, abuse and dependence, and other related topics. Completion of the program shall be precondition for the physician, pharmacist, and other allied medical and healthcare professionals as may be licensed to prescribe, dispense, and administer medical cannabis to qualified patients.
Yes, meron pala tayong ginagawang o itatayong Philippine Medical Cannabis Authority.
Opo. Yun po sana ang ating pong panukala. Ito po ay binasi po natin sa bansang Israel at sa akin po kasing palagay, yun po yung pinakamagandang model po, no? Sa usapin po ng lahat po ng klase ng usapin, ano? Sa pagtatanim, sa law enforcement, sa lahat na po. Pati po sa dispensary.
Yung abuse po, na-anticipate natin yun?
Opo.
May kakuntsaba kang doktor, na best friend mo, kaibigan mo, pwede ba ito maabuso, and then meron ba tayong linagay na penalty to discourage abuse and misuse of prescription?
Opo, sa section na 25 po, sa Prohibited Acts, medyo mahaba po ito, Ginoong Pangulo. Pero nandito po lahat, kung ano po yung mga po pwede nilang, halimbawa po, no? Yung doktor ay dumiskarte po, malaki po ang kanyang pananagutan. Opo, malaki po ang kanya pong parusa. Opo. Marami po.
Yan yung ating kinakatakutan na Mr. President kasi na baka madaan to sa pagiging barkada.
Opo. Naiintindihan po natin yun. Opo. Pwede pong palawakin po, Ginoong Pangulo, makapag-explain lang po ako.
Sige po.
Yung po sa usapin ng abuse, ano? Ito po naman ay yung natutunan ko lang po ito sa PRAD. Maiksi lang po ito, Ginoong Pangulo. Kasi po sa kanila, ang kanila pong definisyon ng medical cannabis, pati po yung mga usapin na nag-aabuso nito, kasama po dun sa medical cannabis. Kasi po, ang kanila pong prinsipyo, imbis na yung kanilang, yung drug abuse po, halimbawa, yung nag-recreational marijuana po, no? Kumahayaan nila na gumamit ito ng recreational marijuana na marumi, na hindi alam kung saan galing. Yung pong pasyente, ang tawag ko po sa na nagmamarijuana, pasyente po, no? Yung pasyente po, ang kanyang kinukonsumo, magiging sakit pa. At kapag nagkasakit siya, problema pa ng Estado. So sa PRAD po, ang kanila, pagka meron silang alam na itong taong ito, may problema siya ganun, ginagamot po nila sa pamamagitan po ng medical cannabis. Para po yung tao ay unti-unting magbago, unti-unting mawala doon sa pang-aabuso, at malinis yung kanyang nakukuha. Kasi ang importante po dito, malinis. Ito pong medical cannabis kasi, pharma grade po siya, pharma grade.
With the permission of the minority leader. Nais ko lang pong magtanong isang katanungan ng sa Laban Committee. Sinabi niyo po yung recreational marijuana ay marumi.
Opo.
Paano niyo po sinabi na, bakit niyo po binanggit na marumi ang recreational marijuana?
Opo, yan din po yung mga unang naging katanungan ko po bago po ako nagpunta ng Israel at ng Prague. Kasi ako po ay tiga Cordillera. So alam ko po kung ano po yung recreational marijuana. Ito po kasi ay naitatanim lamang po ito sa bundok. Wala pong nagbabantay. Ito po ay may mga tinatawag po nating mga insekto, may amag, lahat na po ng klase. So, tapos yung po, pagka nakonsumo po yun ng tao, yung pinusumo mo ay hindi po yung malinis. Katulad po, halimbawa po naman, sa medical cannabis naman po, ito po ay nasa laboratorio. Ito po ay pinangangalagaan ng mga tinatawag po nating mga pharmacists. Ito po ay talagang control po, no? Wala pong amag, walang insekto, talaga pong napakalinis po.
So, saan nila kinukuha yung medical cannabis na yun? Kasi sinasabi nyo na-store, napakalinis.
Opo, so, ano po yan? Sila na rin po ang gumagawa ng mga seed na yan. Ito po, katunayan po, ito po, ang medical cannabis po kasi isang malaki ng ekonomiya. Ito po sa buong mundo po, kung mapapansin nyo po, meron na po siyang economy. Actually, ilang bilyong piso po, ilang bilyong dolyares po ito economy na to. Kaya po yung mga seed po nito, meron po itong mga may-ari. May mga exclusive na may-ari po itong mga seed na to. At ito po mga seed na to, pinagsama-sama ng magagandang parte ng ibang plant.
Okay. Opo. Okay, galing po ako rin nung nakaraang buwan sa Netherlands, sa Amsterdam. At nakita ko na talagang talamak, legal. Yung kanilang pagbenta ng marijuana doon. Pati yung sa convenience store, pwede ka bumili. Kahit may biscuit o cookies na may laman na cannabis. Minsan meron mga nagro-roll na talagang iba talaga yung amoy na talagang legal doon legal ang pagbebenta doon sa Amsterdam. May tuturing niyo ba yan maruming marijuana?
Marumi po at sobra.
Bakit na-incorporate nila sa biscuit na isasalong nila sa biskuit? Ibig sabihin yung binibenta nilang biskuit na may halong marijuana, marumi rin yun?
Hindi naman po sa usapin ng marumi ibig sabihin lang po, hindi lang po siya pharmaceutical grade. Kasi ang hinahabol po natin talaga dito, Ginoong Pangulo, pharmaceutical grade po talaga. Dumaan po talaga sa mga laboratorio talaga na talagang kalinisan po ang kanila pong number one na talagang pinapatupad. Kasi po, Ginoong Pangulo, yung sa Netherlands po, recreational din po yun eh. Talagang, hindi naman. Opo.
Pero yung nagtataka lang ako, dahil iba sinasama sa brownies, sinasama nga sa cookies, sa biskuit. Kung kinonsume ng tao yun, ano mangyayari? Magiging high ba sila? O?
Depende po. Kasi ang cannabis din po, iba't iba na rin po siya eh. Sigurado po, ma-high siya. Pero depende po doon sa kanyang. Kasi ang medical cannabis, mga kategorya na po yan eh. Opo, meron pong tinatawag na sativa, may tinatawag na indica, may tinatawag po na hybrid. Iyan po yung hindi po naiintindihan ng mga ibang kababayan po natin na kapag sinabi po natin kasing medical, para din po itong gamot talaga.
Nakatigil na ba kayo ng biskuit na may cannabis?
Ano muna, di ba yan? I invoke my right for...
Nirespeto ko po.
Baka makakonsent ako dito,
Thank you, Mayor Tino.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Pero yung mga tinanong po ng ating presiding officer, yung biscuit, brownies, these are recreational use of cannabis o marijuana. Bawal.
Actually po, Ginoong Pangulo, yung nagiging recreational lamang po ito kasi hindi po controlled yung milligrams. Kasi ang kaibahan po talaga ng medical cannabis, meron po siyang medical doctor na mag-aaralan ka po kung gaano kataas yung milligrams o grams na ibibigay sa'yo. Yun po ang kaibahan. Yun po kasing mga nilalagay po sa, sabi nyo nga po, cookies o cake, o mga yan, wala pong...
Okay, recreational po yan. Bawal yan.
Opo, talagang
kahit pumasa itong panukalang ito, we will never see na may bake shop dyan, na may...
bawal po.
Bawal po. Yung recreational po, kahit hindi siya sinisigarilyo, hindi siya inismoke, bawal yung kasi recreational yun. Okay.
Opo.
At saka ito po medical cannabis, yung final product ay dapat FDA approved pa rin. Okay po. Basta klaro po lahat yun.
Opo.
Ang problema po, meron din po kami na research kasi na mga adverse side effects or mga dapat katakutan din natin ng mga long-term effect na hindi ba to? Kasi yung binanggit po natin sponsor na tinutulungan nila sa Prague yung mga na-addict sa marijuana, so therefore addictive siya.
Hindi po.
So, hindi ba nakakakot yun?
Ginagamit po siya to cure. Kasi halimbawa po, hindi lang po siya na-addict po. Kung saan po na-addict, halimbawa na-addict po sa opium o sa mga opioids, sa alcohol. Ay, ito na po talaga yung kanilang pang-treatment.
Okay, treatment to...
Kasi wala po siyang
To stop cure the addiction. So,
wala po.
was there also an addiction to marijuana use?
Wala pa akong sa akin pong matagal na pag-aaral ng patungkol sa cannabis. Wala po akong nakilala na masasabing naging addict sa cannabis. Sa alak po, marami akong nakita.
Ang hiling addict talagang yung hindi niya makontrol yung desire niya o nanginginig na siya, hindi siya makapunction ng normal, kailangan niyang konsumo.
Opo.
Wala po yung na-meet.
Wala po.
O lahat ng na-meet yung nag-invoke ng right against self-incrimination. Ayun ba?
Hindi po. Karamihan po. Hindi po. Ginawa po kahit po sa mga rehab po, kahit po sa mga rehabilitation center, hindi po kailanman naging issue ang marijuana. Ang laging issue is shabu, alak.
Sige po. Sige po. Posible din ba, meron kasing may nagsasabi pwede rin dahil sa long-term use, maybe kahit recreational o kahit medicinal, pwede rin magkaroon ng cognitive impairment. Ibig sabihin nun yung siguro, madalas ka na makalimot, yung memory mo, nababawasan na, yung alertness mo.
Pwede pong mangyari din po talaga yun. Pwede din po. Sabi po ng mga experts natin dito, pwede daw po mangyari yun.
Okay.
Pero kung ang isang medical cannabis patient po ay sumusunod sa doktor niya at ginagawa niya po lahat yung inuutos ng doktor niya, imposible pong magkaroon siya ng ganung diferensya. Yung mga pwede pong magkaroon ng ganun, yun po yung mga walang disiplina at hindi po sumunod sa doktor nila.
Sige po, Mr. President. So, yun lang kailangan natin bantayan, yung abuse, I think, ilang bodies ang kailangan natin makreate para masiguro natin hindi maabuso yung sistema. So, we have already the PMCA, ano pa?
Dito po sa ating pong panukala, sa ilalim po nung, isa lang po sa Section 5, Philippine Medical Cannabis Authority. Pero siya po, under supervision din po siya ng DOH po. Parang sa Israel po, nung pumunta kami sa Israel, ang una pong sumalubong sa amin, yung Department of Health po nila, saka po kami pinakilala doon sa kanilang Cannabis Authority. Opo. Parang ganun din po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Meron pa pong Medical Cannabis Advisory Committee. So, hindi ba tayo masyado nang magagastusan sa budget sa dami ng ating mga ginagawang mga institusyon para lang masiguro natin na hindi na abuso ang paggamit ng cannabis and cannabis extracts?
Opo. Sa totoo lang po, aminin ko po sa inyo, Ginoong Pangulo, ako po ang naglalagay ng safeguard po dito. Dahil ayoko po talagang ito ay maabuso. At patungkol naman po sa kung ito po ay magdadagdag ng gastos, gusto ko pong ipaalam sa ating chairman at sa ating pong Ginoong Pangulo na ang cannabis po sa buong daigdig na nagbibigay po ng pahintulot sa medical cannabis, hindi po ito kailanman nagbigay ng additional na gastos sa gobyerno. Ito po nagbibigay pa ng tinatawag po nating return of investment. Ito po, nagkakaroon po ito ng ito po, katunayan po, itong kapitbahay po natin na Thailand, kumikita na po rito, no? Talagang sila nga lang po ay recreational. Pero ngayon po, unti-unti silang bumabalik at pumupunta sa medical. Pero po sa huling report nila, ang laki po ng revenue ng medical cannabis.
Ginamit niyo po ang Thailand as an example. So sa Thailand ngayon, allowed ang medical and recreational.
Opo, pero
umaatras na sila sa recreational. Hindi sila umaatras sa medical.
Hindi po sila umaatras sa medical. Opo.
Again, with the information of the Minority Leader, Senator Padilla, ano ba yung mga sense ng karamihan ng mga doktor natin dito sa Pilipinas? Sila ba ay pumapayag dito sa medical cannabis o karamihan sa ating mga doktor ay hindi pumapayag?
Wala po akong nakausap pa na doktor na hindi po siya naniwala sa aking sinasabi kapag nakausap ko na po. Okay. Yung mga hindi po natin nakakausap at hindi po nakakarating sa kanila, yung mga magagandang balita patungkol sa medical cannabis, talaga pong sarado. At lagi ko naman pong sinasabi sa kanila, Ginoong Pangulo, ganito lamang yan eh. Pinapayagan natin yung fentanyl, pinapayagan yung Demerol, pinapayagan yung lahat yung matitinding droga na yan, pero itong medical cannabis, ayaw yung payagan. Yun lang pong lagi kong sinasabi.
Meron na ba ho kayong mga nakausap na doktor at nakumbinsi na pumayag dito sa medical cannabis?
Ay, marami na po. Itong nakaraan naming seminar, ilang doktor yun? 40 po. Nung nakaraan pong nag-seminar po dito, yung doktor po namin, na expert, na galing po sa US, 40 po na doktor ang nag-seminar. At marami pa pong nag-a-apply.
Sige, maraming salamat.
Sige po, Mr. President, yun din yung tanong ko na si FDA ba nagbigay ba ng position paper or hindi ba mahalaga ang position paper ni FDA or si PMA ba, Philippine Medical Association, the other doctors associations, nagbigay ba ng mga position paper? Ang sa pagkakaalam kasi ng aking opisina, pag hingyan natin ng position paper ang mga medical doctors associations, negative.
Opo.
Tama po ba?
Inaasahan po natin yun. Inaasahan po natin. Opo.
Hindi ba mga dalubhasa din sila sa field ng effect of medicines to the patients? So,
ako po'y gumagalang sa opinion po ng ating mga sinasabi niyo po yung Philippine Medical Association.
Again sila. For the record.
Opo. Meron pong iba. Hati po eh. Hati. Yung pong patungkol po kanina, excuse lang po, 1 minute suspension lang po.
Minute suspension, Mr. President. A minute suspension.
Maraming salamat po.
Okay. Continue.
Opo. Yung pong sinabi niyo kanina, doon po sa DOH, DDB, PIDEA, pati po yung FDA, lahat po yun, supportado po yung ating bill. Wala po silang kontra. Yun lamang po sa PMA. Opo, inaasahan naman po natin yun. Kasi nga po, dito po sa Pilipinas, wala pong nangyayaring research dahil bawal. Di ba po? Yun lang po yung logic nun eh. Bawal kasi. Research. Pero ang research po natin, papayagan po tayo mag-research, magkakaroon po tayo ng sarili. Kasi lahat po ng hawak nating research, galing po sa ibang bansa.
Pero yung na-access po ng ating sponsor and even the author ng mga studies, na-access din po yan ng ating mga doktor. And yet they are unconvinced.
Opo, yun po.
How do we explain that, Mr. President?
Ang karamihan po sa kanila, ang sinasabi, wala po tayong sariling research. Wala po tayong sariling research. Ang sinasabi po nila, ang research na yan galing sa ibang bansa. So, ang kung papayagan lamang po tayo.
Karamihan ng mga pills na in-approve ng FDA, kahit yung study yata nung effect ng mga pills na yun. Foreign studies po yun, sinasabit lang po sa FDA yun.
Opo, yun nga po ang dinasabi.
Hindi po ako makapaniwala na yung dahilan na wala lang Philippine research. Baka, ano po kaya, sa hearing po natin, ano po ang nasabi nilang dahilan? Yun po, research. Lack of a Philippine-based research. Yun lang yung
Ito ang naririnig ko lagi. Pati po sa mga ibang resource speaker po natin, marami po silang, kasi tama naman po yung kanila. Sa totoo lang po, Ginoong Pangulo, ako po ay sumasang-ayon na dapat magkaroon po tayo ng sarili nating research. Kaya po sana, sa pamamagitan po ng panukalan na ito, para po magkaroon ng katahimikan po ang lahat, magkaroon po ng kapayapaan ng loob, magkaroon din po tayo ng research patungkol po dito.
Kung magre-research ba ngayon using, siyempre, cannabis extracts, takot ang institution na nagre-research kasi bawal.
Opo. Dito lang po sa
kailangan muna itong batas na ito even before that research to be done. Pero ang batas na ito kasi legalizes already the use of medical cannabis. So, pointless.
Sarili po natin research para po makumbinsi po natin.
Kaya ang position po ba ng ating sponsor ay walang maka-research na Philippine-based research, Philippine subject siguro, Philippine-based subject on medical cannabis, cannabinoids, cannabis extracts. Kasi kung wala itong batas na ito, bawal yung mga raw materials na ginagamit nila. Pero itong batas na ito allows already the use of medical cannabis, making that research practically pointless.
Kasi po, ang pinupunto ko po, Ginoong Pangulo, yung po kasing posisyon ng mga hindi po sumasang-ayon. Kailangan po silang ma-at-peace po. Ma-at-peace lang sila kung makakaroon po ng research na tayo po ang gumawa. Kasi meron po namang mga... Meron naman po kasing mga research na po na naisagawa na po doon nga po sa mga progresibong bansa at nakatanggap-tanggap na po. At sinasabi pa po ng United Nations na ito na po talaga yung schedule niya.
Okay, sige po. Ito na lang po, just a few more questions na lang. Yung bago tayo, kunyari maging batas na po ito, bago talaga magamit yung medisina na may cannabis or cannabinoids or cannabis extract, or bago ito mabenta sa publiko, ilang lisensya ba ang kailangan makuha nitong medisina na ito bago siya maging available sa publiko?
Magandang tanong yan.
Kasi hindi namin mabilang sa dami ng sa dami ng steps dito po. So,
Sa totoo lang po, Ginoong Pangulo, ako po lahat ang gumawa ng steps na yan dahil gusto ko po talagang makasigurado na hindi po ito maabuso. Opo, pero handa po akong tumanggap ng amendments po ng ating mga kasama. Pero ako po talaga, ang posisyon ko po, Ginoong Pangulo, higpitan.
sige pa. So, takot din po kayo?
Opo.
So, mayroon din kayong parang alinlangan?
Wala pong alinlangan, takot lang po na baka ayoko po kasing mag-recreational. Yun lang po ang takot ko. Ayoko pong maging ang daan, ang bill na to maging daan para ang iba ay gawing recreational ito. Ayoko po.
Klaro po tayo, hindi, wala, sa ating interpellation, hindi sakop ang recreational. So, ito po ang last issue ko na lang, Mr. President. Napansin namin na pinagbabawal pa rin sa bill natin, although ang objective ng bill is to make medical marijuana or cannabis use legal, pinagbabawal natin ang planting of marijuana plants even for the purpose of using the plant for medical purposes. Medyo, doon po ako nagtataka kasi pina-research ko po sa staff ko, meron tayong mga approved herbal medicines, ampalaya, ano pa ba? Sa bawang, sa bayabas, moringa, allowed the medicine, allowed ka mag-plant for that. Ito, i-allow natin, pero bawal ka mag-plant. Ano po ang ibig sabihin nun? Yung author natin, meron siyang danger na nasisense.
Opo, ang sinasabi po kasi, parang ganito po yan eh. Bago po maging full-grown po kasi yung cannabis, mga 6 months po. Ang sinasabi lang po natin, kung bawa pumasa po yung batas, hindi pa po tayo pwedeng kagad. Kailangan magkuha muna po tayo ng knowledge para po gawin yung medical cannabis. Kasi ang alam po natin sa ngayon, Ginoong Pangulo, ang knowledge po natin, yung recreational. Yun po, ayaw ko po yun eh. Kailangan po, ang gusto po natin kasi makuha yung knowledge ng medical cannabis. Ilang buwan muna po yun bago mag-produce. So sa una po siguro, mag-import muna po tayo doon sa gumagawa po ng best practices. Halimbawa po sa Canada, sa Amerika, o sa Israel, kung ano po yung papayagan ng FDA. Habang ginagawa po natin yung atin. Kasi ayoko naman pong habang buhay tayong nag-i-import. Kasi hindi din po tayo kikita doon sa economy niya. Kasi may economy po siya eh.
Sige po, I just want to be consistent na kung talagang i-legalize natin ang medical use of cannabis, we should regulate the planting of pwedeng marijuana plantations for that particular legal purpose. Nag-illegal kasi. Yan lang po yun. If that should be possible. Pero kung natatakot ka dahil sasabihin mo na sa Pilipinas ka, so naiintindihan ko po yun. Pero it's also time for us to also parang level up. Dapat law enforcement, kasi puro law enforcement nandito sa mga safeguards ko natin eh. So, kung wala tayong tiwala doon sa safeguard na yun sa farming, sa planting, bakit tayo magtitiwala ngayon na the other safeguards against abuse will work? So, it's either we trust that our safeguards will work or do not trust that they will not work, di ba? So, yun lang po yun, napansin ko po yun. Kasi, pati farmers natin, i-deprive natin sa isang legal activity or legal economic activity. So, yun lang po yun. Kung pwedeng mabalikan lang po ng...
Ginoong Pangulo, mabanggit ko lang po. Meron din po akong... ano na ba yung bill?
Ayusin na lang nila to.
Meron din po tayong... Ginoong Pangulo, meron po tayong bill din po dyan na hindi pa po natin... Pero tungkol din po ito sa cannabis. Pero ito naman po yung tinatawag nating industrial hemp. Ito po yung pwedeng puntahan ng ating mga magsasaka. Pero another na lang po, another discussion po yun. Pagka yung bill na po na yun, ang pinag-usapan natin. Iba po kasi yung industrial cannabis, saka po yung medical cannabis.
Okay. So what is industrial cannabis?
Ito po yung mga ginagamit po sa damit.
Iba po yun. Iba po yun. Ang aking pong point, ulitin ko, na kung ikaw ay magtatanim ng isang plant, isang tanim, para supplyan ng isang legal na industry, bakit bawal?
Wala.
Pero yung po, tama po ba ako na napansin ko na sa ngayon sa pagkasulat bawal?
6 months po, wala muna pong...
For 6 months lang, for the effectivity of this act. For 6 months. I-review na lang po namin because we did not get that impression na temporary lang pala.
Temporary. Sa Section 15 po, Ginoong Pangulo. Section 15.
All the more that we can dispense with it kung temporary lang din pala. Mr. President. Thank you po. Thank you, sponsor. Thank you, distinguished minority for you. Thank you, Senator Padilla. Majority Leader.
Salamat po.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2573.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, we are in receipt of the Conference Committee report on the disagreed provisions of Senate Bill number 2865 and House Bill 9277, the bills on the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotions Act. With that, I move to recognize as chairperson of the Senate panel, Senator Winter, to give us the highlights of the Conference Committee report. So move.
Senator Rizal is so recognized. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as the lead conferee of the Senate panel, I have the honor of submitting for ratification a copy of the Bicameral Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions on Senate Bill number 2865 and House Bill number 9277, otherwise known as the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotions Act. The Senate and the House panels have met and discussed every possible way to work out a reconciled version of our respective bills. We have come up with a piece of legislation that seeks to promote capital market development, increase capital mobility,